I've been using this Bosch GCM 8SJL miter saw for about almost 5 years now. It's a really great saw, but for some reason, recently it has decided to stop being square. So, it's still square right at the fence, but when you pull it all the way out, it's about 1mm or 2 off, and when you bevel it, it hits the guide and is more than 1mm or 2 off. Now, it's not the fence, because if the fence were off, it would still center in the middle of the cutting track, or whatever it's called. But because it hits the side of the cutting track, it's something else that is off. So I am assuming, because after looking at it, I don't really see how anything else could be out of square. So I bought new bearings for it. These are the new bearings, and I ordered these directly from Bosch. We ordered them on Wednesday evening, and today's Friday, and they got here this morning, so 2 days, and they have the new parts to me. So I'm gonna put the bearings in, and hopefully that will fix it. So to take it apart, it does require a bit of work to get it apart, although it's not the hardest thing to get apart. So I've now taken the drop saw off. So now to get at the bearings, this piece has to come off, which it just clips off like that. I wanted to get new felt rings, but they didn't have the felt rings in stock, so I'm just gonna have to reuse the felt rings. Then to come out, they just come out like that. So I've already put the front bearings in. Now I'm just working on the back ones. I don't really feel a need to grease these bearings because they come pre-greased. And if they don't want to fit, before you force them in, turn them around, because I had one that didn't want to fit, but when I turned it around it fit, so might very well be a certain way you have to put these in. So now that the bearings are back in, I'm now going to put the saw back in. So when putting the saw back in, you don't want to force it, because otherwise the little bearings might break out. There we go. So right away it seems to be a lot stiffer. And replacing the bearings might actually be something that is just a good idea to do occasionally anyway. Just because they were getting... Well, now I know that it wasn't just my mind playing tricks on me. They were getting looser because this right away feels a lot stiffer. I'm just gonna test it now. I'm gonna test it with this square that I just tested. So this square is square. So at 90 degrees. I'd say that it's about perfect. So now let's cut 45. It's still about 1mm off. This is kind of difficult to... So that's what it's like. The tiniest smidgen, so I'd say it's fixed. Any more than that isn't really necessary because we rarely use the 45 degree anyway. It's mainly the 90 that we care about. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope that you learned something from this video, and I will see you next time. After doing a few more tests, it is only about 0.5 mm off on the 45 degree bevel on the full 300mm length, and it is pretty much perfect at 0, so that is good enough for me. I think that's probably what it was from the factory. I'm not sure why it went out of square, but I think it's probably because the dust extraction hose is stretchy and has a spring in it, so that when you pull it out, you are having to put a bit of force on it to pull the hose out. And because both me and my dad are right-handed, we stand on the left-hand side of the saw and pull to the right. And that's the direction it was out of square, so perhaps because of pulling on the dust hose, that is what made it go out of square. I'm not the biggest fan of the dust extraction setup on this saw, although I don't think it's any worse than any other miter saw. But yeah, that's the best explanation I can do as to why this happened. But anyway, it's fixed now, so it goes back to work now.